On Afternoons with Jimmy Smith, it's time for November 1.
And our focus, Maestro, turns to the North Queensland Cowboys. Jackson Purdue yet to re-sign after hitting the open market on November 1. Could he be moving on?
Well, and the other one that sort of triggered us doing at the Cowboys today, Speedy, was your catch from Brent Reid on X yesterday that Murray Taulagi could be on the way out, has failed to agree with a contract extension beyond next year. Suddenly, that glut of Origin talent that was at the club, and a few of those are still signed on long-term deals, right? They've got Ruben Cotter, Tom Dearden, Hylam Lukey all there for quite a while. But this salary cap table that I'm looking at is just starting to thin out a bit beyond the end of 2026. So there's a bit of work for Peter Parr and the people up there. Not Peter Parr, but the rest of the Cowboys.
He was once
there. I'm thinking back quite a way in history with that comment. But there's a bit of work for them to do up there. And it was interesting to hear MC and Jimmy Smith talking about Todd Payton's future this morning on breakfast. He might be coming into this season as probably the most under pressure coach given their underperformance in 2025.
And a similar theme for him heading into that 2022 season when many were picking them to win the Wooden Spoon. Todd Payton was under enormous pressure back then, but they went on to host the prelim in 2022. So maybe they can turn it around and history will be repeated for North Queensland fans. I talked to Chad Townsend about this on Sports Central the other day. Of course, he was there for 3 years, 2022, when they hosted that prelim against Parramatta. They finished fifth in 2024. It's easy to forget that after the down year in 2025 for the Cowboys. So up and down, just like they're up and down, running up those hills in Townsville as well as part of their pre-season. And they really seem to get that right heading into that 2022 campaign. And even in 2024, they were able to produce some amazing comebacks. Their fitness seems to be right. I think it's all about the Cowboys getting their pre-season right and ensuring they're able to run out games and be strong defensively. Sometimes they've just turned it up defensively and been very easy to score against. But getting back to Jackson Purdue, you cannot coach speed. I think they need to keep him, even though the experiment didn't work at 5'8", you keep him in the outside backs in the centres and utilise that speed going forward.
Of course you do. A talent there that was identified very quickly in his NRL career. And he's still a young player, right, Speedy? They talk so often, ex-players, about not feeling comfortable at this level until they've played 50 games or so. He's still probably a season away from that. So there is room to lift for the Cowboys, and I think quite a bit of it. They're a top 8 side on paper. They were last year as well, which was part of the reason we were so disappointed in what they put out there. What Cariana says there about the sort of yo-yo quality or lack of quality that they put in last year, I don't understand how with all these big name signings, and Jeremiah Nanai was probably the best example of this, dropped out of the Cowboys side during the start of the season because Todd Payton wasn't impressed with his defensive attitude and maybe made a little bit of a scapegoat in that sense. But he did improve on the back of that dropping. So there is clearly something Todd Payton is doing up there that is still speaking to a number of the squad. I don't think the players have lost belief in him whatsoever. He's had a to and fro relationship with Jason Taumalolo over his time up there. But even Taumalolo's looking back to a bit of better form towards the end of the year and during the internationals. So
he's got 2 years left on that mega contract for JT. And you're right, his form looked pretty good. He was able to overcome injury and play his part in that Pacific Championships. But the change at hooker is interesting. Reid Marnie has left the Bulldogs after things broke down with him there and replaces Reece Robson, who was probably down. He'd signed that deal with the Roosters. Everyone knew he was going, and that's what you get with the signing system in the NRL, don't you? There's no guarantee that a player will be able to reach their peak performance if they know they're going to another club the next year.
Which is interesting with Marnie as well. We maybe saw that towards the end of his time at the Bulldogs. Remember, he was in talks for Origin selection during the time of the Parramatta Eels, and I thought he was a real coup for the Bulldogs and started his career there really strongly, but that just seemed to tail away as it went year on year under Cameron Ciraldo. So another player that if Todd Payton can get right, that's a pretty frightening spine that they boast if everything is right. Duffy
Scott
there,
Drinkwater.
Marnie there. Scott Drinkwater is a fantastic footballer on his day.
He led the comp in try assist until Reece Walsh overtook him during the final series. So Scott Drinkwater second in the comp for try assist last year, playing in that fullback role. So they've invested in Robert Derby, which is an interesting one. He's signed until 2028. So is that part of the reason Murray Taulagi might be on the way out? Cowboys fans, what do you think of that? Would you rather have Taulagi or Derby starting on a wing for you? And are you concerned that they haven't been able to sign Jackson Purdue yet beyond next season? He's only guaranteed to stay with the club until 2026. You got Helam Lukey and Griffin Neem tied up until 2029. Cohen Hess really had a superb season last time around. He's got 2 more years left on his deal.
Yeah, Purdue's a Mackay boy from memory. I think that's right. So it'd be super disappointing to lose him. Another youngster that's come through up there and they've done really well with to get to first grade level. I just wonder what the price tag is that Jackson Purdue and his management are putting on him. And the length of deal as well, right? Because, as a 20-year-old, you're paying somewhat on potential. He's probably kicked into gear at a time where he can maximise, his value signing this first big deal as an NRL top 30 player. And someone, I think plenty of clubs around the competition would like to get their hands on if they're able to. It's down to the Cowboys and Michael Luck, who is their general manager at the moment, to try and get something done that keeps him there for the long term, I think.
I'm sure what Todd Payton wants his team to do is follow the lead set by Tommy Dearden, because he just gives his all. He's signed until 2029. That is a key signing. Just a fantastic player.
Who plays next to him, Speedy?
Well, that's the big thing. They've lost Tom Duffy, haven't they, to the Broncos, who was a backup plan. So I think they just settled on Jake Clifford, and that's what the fans wanted as well. I mean, they experimented with Purdue as the halves partner of Tom Dearden, but once they got Clifford back, put Purdue back in the centres, they looked much more of a threat. So I don't see that changing, do you?
No. And interesting now that Jake's on a one-year deal, and I think will basically be playing for his future. So we've seen players in contract years just fly out of the blocks quietly, chasing the dollar. So
if they're letting Duffy go, they must have someone long-term that they see helping out and the depth in those halves.
Yeah, because that's probably the missing piece. It's the glaring missing piece, to be honest, on paper. And the depth of this side, I don't know if you've got this same salary cap table up in front of you, Speedy. Like, there's a lot of one-year deals sitting there on their cap at the moment. So maybe they're sitting there going, "Ooh, maybe we can lure Kalen Ponga back if he leaves the Knights." I don't know if he'd be keen to go into that situation rather than moving down to Sydney. It's another recruitment battle that the Cowboys have had over the entirety of their history, is how do you draw big names up there, even when you do have the cash to splash, as they look to do in 2027. It's going to be very, very interesting time up there. It could be a continuation if everything goes right this year. And I think the first 10 games are going to be absolutely critical to deciding whether it's time to sort of blow things up and start again, or whether you can persist on this path and hopefully end up as a team that's challenging for the top 4 if they can't break in there this season.
I know we've got a lot of Cowboys listeners as well, so let us know your thoughts. Give us a call, 1300 01 1170, or give us a text on 0457 736 736.
Thanks for watching. For more great content, subscribe to SEN League, your home of the greatest game of all.